Hello, good evening, everybody. Are we live with Toby also?
There he is.
There he is. Well, welcome by our at our first AMA for Carbify. It's pretty exciting for us actually. We will answer lots of questions, like 45. Some are pretty hard, some are easier to answer. We will go turn by turn basically. Some are eco empire questions. Some are CO2 related questions and some are financial related questions. But for the people in here right now, I already want to share a nice scoop or a preview. Let me check. I will share my screen because we are creating Carbidash, as you know. Here it is. I hope everyone can check my screen. So the past few weeks or even months, we have been very busy. So this is not a mock-up or anything. This is the actual dashboard being created right now. We will call it Carbidash. There's also a second picture, one of the profile page. Well, yeah, we hope you guys will love this dashboard. We will share some pictures in the announcement channel later. But let's go to the questions right now. So, Toby, I think the first question is for you.
We cannot hear you, Toby.
You are muted, Toby.
It's such a good practice run. Now you're still muted.
You practice for a few hours. Or maybe William can do the first question then?
Yeah, I will. I will do it first. So the question was, how do NF trees compare or compete with mainstream rainforest trees planting projects that usually ask $1 per tree planted? Well, first of all, planting in the Amazon or in the Atlantic forest or rainforest overall is way more expensive because sometimes you have to sit on a boat for a few days to reach certain areas, but also the logistics are a bit more difficult to plant trees in the Amazon in comparison with Europe or in Africa. And we don't only plant trees, we also maintain trees, make social impact, and provide the food security for these communities or farmers or tribes. So, yeah, it's not only a $1 tree that we plant somewhere. I hope.
Toby, is your microphone working?
No.
No. Then I will do the next question. So the next question, the more trees you have, the more ACO2 you generate, which you already confirmed that ACO2 has an unlimited supply. Well, yes, that's correct. The ACO2 supply is 100% bound to the amount of CO2 absorbed from the air. It's 1-on-1, so there will never be more tokens as CO2 absorbed. Of course, you can burn them to compensate for your own carbon footprint. These tokens will go out of the circulation.
I hear Toby in the background. So if you now share your or your camera on, then you probably.
Okay, this is an awesome start. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened, but I think I muted the whole Discord application as a whole. Anyway, I think I was supposed to answer the question, which game is similar to Eco Empires? Well, actually, there's quite a lot of games which share similarities with Eco Empires. I think we already mentioned a few on Discord, like Travian, which is one of our games, but even games like Age of Empires, massive games, has a lot of similarities with Eco Empires as well. In a sense that you start off with on a barren land plot. You build up your empire, train troops, and march to battle. So there's quite a lot of games which share similarities, but mainly it's Travian and I guess they are very comparable to what we are developing at the moment.
I think you can do the next question also, Toby, because that one is also for you.
I think he froze.
Yeah, you shared a few. Yeah, the learning curve for Eco Empires. Well, basically, I'm still here, I guess. The learning curve, I guess, Eco Empires is a game. I think it's rather easy to play. One.
Yeah, your connection is breaking up all the time. It's a bit hard to understand, I believe.
Okay, that's very weird. I'm not sure what's going on, to be honest. But anyway, I was trying to explain. I'm not sure if you could actually understand what I was saying, but I think Eco Empires is a game which is rather easy to get to a grip of the basics, and to understand the game and be able to play it in a rather easy way. But in order to actually master the game, it will be quite difficult because you have to manage your resources, manage your CO2 offset, and stuff like that. So in order to be able to build up your troops, defend your villages, and also try to conquer other people's villages will be quite a task, I can imagine. So I think it's fun for everyone, but in order to to do any proper ladder climbing and become very good at it, it will be quite steep learning curve, I guess. Yeah.
All right. Why is there a picture of an African tribe on their website whilst the CO2 is compensated in the Amazon rainforest? Yeah, that's a mistake. It has been changed, or otherwise will be changed today or tomorrow. Yeah, so honest mistake.
Well, next question. According to Google, like 13% of the Amazon rainforest has already been cut down, with estimates of more than 500 million trees being cut every year. How will Carbify make a difference when more trees are being cut than planted? Well, this is not a hard question to answer because if you do nothing, nothing will happen. So there needs to be projects like us basically to reforest and plant trees in order to compensate for whatever is happening over there. We actually intend to plant million of trees. You have to set goals, right? So we want to achieve something major here, and we think our global carbon standard will actually be the driver for this, as it will set a certain amount of rules for like everyone planting trees, and we are absolutely focused on making this the world standard actually for tokenized carbon debits. Toby?
Yep. Yeah. So the next question was how many people working in Eco Empires? 11 people working on the full-time basis, and this varies from game coders to artists, game directors, and so 11 people in total full-time on Eco Empires.
Right. How do we know our trees remain uncut? The not cutting of trees is being handled by our on-ground partner, which we will announce in a bit. And we have a contract with them, so we get regular proof of life. Otherwise, the maintenance fee will not be paid out, and yeah, the CO2 cannot be absorbed anymore, but it will be checked multiple times per year.
The next one is, where does Carbify get its revenue from? Well, there are lots of ways for us to generate revenue, but I can name a few. CO2 we generate ourselves, of course, because if you buy NF3s, a small part of the trees we plant as a backup will be collected by us, and we can sell some of it. We will profit from NFT sales. Eco Empires will offer a premium subscription. You will be able to have a bigger map and some other perks in game. It won't affect the gameplay that much, by the way, because we don't like to see any pay to win constructions. The token sale, of course. When we sell CO2 to the business to business side, we will maintain a certain profit margin for Carbify. And we actually, that hasn't been announced yet, by the way, but we actually certified the first company already. And there are several ways to become certified by Carbify, by our global carbon standard. And this is actually one of our biggest revenue streams so far. So that's it for this question.
Yep. I guess that brings us to the next one. Will Eco Empires receive frequent updates, bug fixes, etc.? Yeah, well, obviously it will. We are constantly trying to expand the game once development has been done. In fact, we were looking for a long-term relationship with the game development company. So not just develop the game, launch it, and then make place for something else, but we are actually we even have ideas already for expansions and even future factions we can add to the game. So surely it will receive frequent updates and bug fixes, and even we will add more features as well. So yes, definitely.
Right. How many trees do you plan on planting each year? Well, as you know, batch 1 will be planted in Q1. So 50,000 trees will be planted in Q1. And the goal is that we reach this year 200,000 trees, and then next year even more.
Cool. Then the next one is, can we sell ACO2, or do we burn it and turn that into CBY rewards? Well, no, CBY token has nothing to do with this. We will offer pools on Carbidash, not decentralized in the first few months. It's just static pools. You can basically pledge, or donate is not a correct word because you will receive money for it. But you can pledge your ACO2 tokens to a certain pool which you like. It can be a pool from a certain company or crypto project, or whoever wants to buy the ACO2 tokens. We already have a few buyers, by the way, so you will see them soon enough. And you will receive a stable coin for selling these ACO2 tokens. Most likely USDC or some other stable coin dominant on the Polygon chain.
All right. Then the next question is, will guild members be able to control the villages of other guild members when given explicit permission? The answer is yes. Guild members and even non-guild members like allies, which you grant access, will be able to to manage your village and to take care of it if you're away or sleeping or on vacation or anything of that matter. So yeah, definitely we'll include that feature. And I guess that brings us to another little teaser we want to share with you guys. There's actually a piece of footage the game developers have made, which shows the land map and the way we are adding this dynamic feature to this land map when adding plots to it, and showing a little bit of the zooming function and a few of the buildings which are already been developed. So Jaap will share a screen. So if you click a stream, you will get a little teaser of the game in development. And bear in mind that this is only after 1 month of development actually. So it's a really pre-alpha version, obviously, but it does give you an idea of what we are developing at the moment.
Well, this was the video. Hope you guys liked it.
I know
think
I
the next
did.
question is for William.
Yeah, I mean, first, one big compliment to the game devs. I mean, look at this. In 1 month, it's amazing what they have accomplished. But that was not my question. My question was, how expensive and time-consuming is the care of the trees, and are people specially trained for this? We are not planting them in some rural area. We plant them at the communities or at local farmers where they can do something good for the communities. And they are the experts in taking care of these trees because it's part of their income and their food security. Um, so I guess that's the answer. They are the experts, so we pay the maintenance fee per year in reward for the materials, for the proof of life, but also to continuously support those locals.
Okay, next question. You said based on 175 kilograms per tree compensated and a $15 per tons of CO2, the trees APR will be 26% and staking will be 26 up to 52%. These are all cool numbers, but do you have an example of the staking return on investment? Well, yes, I can for now, because it's very hard for a crypto-based project like us to promise staking rewards like this. But for now, I will give some more detailed information because it's very important to understand this. So if you calculate the based on 175 kilograms and $15 per ton, what you will make in a year. That's an easy calculation because that's $2.6. So you will see that your return on investment is like 3.8 years based on these prices. Of course, we know that the global, well, in Europe, basically, the voluntary market CO2 prices are like $80 per ton, not $15 per ton. But we like to be conservative, so we start with a pretty low number. But here comes the catch. This is only for trees. So you will receive a 26% reward on trees. But if you place these trees on plots, for example, the Genesis plot, you will also receive a 26% return on these trees, so extra. But what we basically do is when a tree is being planted, we plant an additional tree. So for every tree planted, we will pledge 175 kilograms of CO2 in the staking pool. This means that if only 50% of all tree owners participate in the staking programs, you will receive 2 times as many rewards as if 100% of all the tree owners would participate. Well, it's hard to predict, but I think we can agree, we all can agree that 100% is not going to happen. It's a much lower percentage. So this means that owning a Genesis tree will be extremely rewarding. So that being said, we are not going to announce this in the future anymore. So people have to do their own calculations. But I can tell you, it's pretty rewarding.
All right. Are there new trees planted or is it existing trees? Well, we have another secret to share because we were so convinced about what we are doing that we have already given the order is maybe a wrong word, but you know what I mean. The assignment to start planting trees. So the first 10,000 trees are already planted, and we can also announce that we have signed an agreement with agroforestry. They are our on-ground partner in Brazil and will do the mapping of the trees in their database, but also they are our point of communication for the trees being planted.
Cool. I think the next one's for me. So, will you expand to other areas in the world? Well, as you probably noticed, we are using the letter A in front of the CO2 token. It stands for Amazon CO2. And well, yeah, I think it makes sense that we will release multiple CO2 tokens for different regions. We spoke with lots of people, and actually, Amazon CO2 will be extremely popular because all over the world, everybody understands that the Amazon rainforest are basically the lungs of the earth. So people are willing to invest in this kind of CO2, but there are some other regions on this planet where this could be the same. So it's not a focus right now, but when the project matured a little bit, we will definitely look at other areas and create a special CO2 token for that particular area.
Yep. Thank you, Jaap. The next question is about Eco Empires again. The question is, I understood there would be rounds, and will there be a variety of rounds, like different speeds or troops or anything like that? The answer is yes. Eco Empires runs multiple rounds at the same times, or like instances or whatever you want to call them, but they are worlds being active at the same time. That can be multiple worlds as well with different settings. Basically anything we choose. So for sure there will be regular worlds with the basic settings, and we'll have speed servers as well. Those familiar with Travian and games like that know what that is. But basically, you build faster, you train troops faster, and stuff like that. So the round is over more quickly than in regular rounds. But we are experimenting with other settings as well, with different troops or different troop settings or different objectives in regards to the landmarks or anything like that. So yes, we definitely have different rounds at the same time with different settings.
Cool. How do you plan to deal with the issues in the Amazon? If there's corruption, do you sponsor local teams before or after the CO2 is absorbed? Yeah, corruption is a tricky thing. We all know that corruption is going on there. And as we just said, we have an on-ground partner who deals with the locals, also the local communities in the Amazon. And we split the funds, so we are not going to transfer them a large sum of money right away. It's in phases, and each phase will be divided in before planting and after giving proof of life. So we will do everything in our power to to deal with corruption or to avoid it.
Okay, what's the purpose of having more than one plot? So let's say I have one Genesis plot with 50 trees. Why would I want to have more than one plot? Well, staked Genesis plots are really superior regarding yield and profit. That's basically it. So it means that if you have multiple Genesis plots fully staked, that's a huge amount of passive income. But you can also use NFT plots, so also the premium plots, the Genesis plot, and the standard NFT plots in eco empires. It will also increase your rewards while playing, and we will also introduce some other boost or perks for NFT owners, so also for the Genesis plot owners for the game. This will be minimal. Those plots will have minimal effect on gameplay because, like I said earlier, we don't like the pay to win strategy, but they will definitely be boosted in game. And of course, we will offer leaderboards. We have some kind of a leaderboard fetish. There will be leaderboards for kind of everything. So that's also important to know. Toby.
Yeah, as with achievements as well, by the way, next to the leaderboards. So there'll be a plethora of those. The next question is, can you play Eco Empires offline against bots, or is it only PvP, player versus player? Well, it is a massively multiplayer online real-time strategy game. I guess we'll refer to it as an MMORTS from now on. So yeah, you cannot play it against bots. You play it against all the other people participating in that specific round. But there will be AI settlements in game. So there are the people utilizing their NFT plots in game. There are plots occupied by the AI which you can conquer. And there are free plots which offer certain resources you want in order to expand your economy and build more troops. But it's only against other human players, and we are aiming to deliver it on desktop, iOS, and Android. From the get-go, basically, as starters.
All right. Can you expand on the highlighted statement from your green paper? What can Carbify do to increase income and ensure a steady supply of food for locals in the Amazon? Because the majority of calories that the people eat are from wheat, and that's the reason Amazon trees have been cut to feed the people in Brazil. Without importing the food, people can't live on nuts and berries alone. But we don't plant regular trees. Not only regular trees. We plant. We do it together with the locals to determine which type of tree we need to plant. And a few of the examples are banana or acai or cacao. And what we do is we plant multiple trees of those species, so they can use it for their own food, but they can also sell it. And there's no need for them to cut down the trees for timber, for example, because they earn money with the fruits and nuts and seeds that they get from the trees that we plant together with them. So it improves their livelihood.
Okay, will Carbify work with Vulcan Forge? How will it take shape instead of a different known tree project? Well, the short answer is yes. Of course, we are a multi-chain related company because our goal is, well, not only to offset carbon in the business to business area, but also in the crypto world. And this means we have to be present at basically all the blockchains we need. So it's multi-chain on as much blockchains as we need. And we cannot just commit to one chain. But of course, we have been talking with Jamie and Vulcanfort already because, well, Toby and me are still working there. So I'm sure more news will follow in the next few weeks.
Yep. Can you elaborate on the professional background of the team members? Yeah, I can say something about that. Jaap has been an entrepreneur for over 25 years. I believe he's never worked for a boss or anything like that. He has had multiple companies of his own with a lot of employees. And as he just mentioned, he was working as a CTO for Falcon Forest. At this very moment, he's a PM still at Falcon Forest. And I believe he is still in a lot of other projects as well as an advisor, mainly in regards to the tokens and the economy. And next to that, he's actually a writer as well. I think many of you have read his blogs already, but he's also writing a Crypto for Dummies blogs for people who are not that familiar with blockchain and crypto. And he's trying to educate them by writing those books and blogs. William has been an entrepreneur in sustainable companies. I think many of you know him as the CEO, the former CEO of Corest. And he actually still owns a few hectares of land with, I believe, over 2,000 fruit trees still on them. And I myself, I'm involved in a lot of projects as well. I was the former COO of Falcon Forest. I'm still a PM now at this moment, managing a few side games at the moment. And I've actually been a pro gamer for a few years when I was a little bit younger. And I have quite some experience regarding game director work. So I guess that sums it up a little bit about what we do. And there's some additional information on the website as well, by the way, in case you want to check that out.
I have a question for you, Toby.
Really?
Which kind of games were you involved in as pro gamer?
No, we didn't train this question, Jaap.
No, I know, but you that's the beauty of it.
I was mainly, in fact, I was a multi-gamer. That was actually a word back then. I'm not sure if it's still being used, but I was mainly involved with RTS games like Command & Conquer, Red Alert, Supreme Commander, games like that. But I was acting on quite high level in regards to first-person shooters as well, mainly Unreal Tournament and Unreal Tournament 2K4. But as I said, my main focus was on RTS games because I just prefer those games above first-person shooters and other games.
Okay, so most players are doomed already because of this news, playing Eco Empires.
We will all team up against Toby in Eco Empires.
Exactly.
Yes. That's the conclusion we can take from this. All right. Who calculates, approves the rewards, Carbify, for the amount of CO2 which is absorbed by the trees? Well, we have two awesome ecologists, Pierre and Mike, and they have developed a global carbon standard. And it's currently being reviewed by Earthwood, and they have already said that they will approve it. It's just a matter of time. Need some digging in. They said it's very unique what you have been creating, and it stands out against all other carbon standards out there. And with all other, I mean all other. It's really, they said it's amazing to see how detailed it is and what you guys are using for the CO2 absorption, and it will be the highest quality of CO2 out there. There's no discussion possible about the absorption rate of the CO2 if they are approved by the global carbon standard.
Okay, how is the coverage of satellite data in the area, so in the Amazon rainforest? Is this good enough to follow the regrowth of the forest? It would be nice to keep track so you can make a dope time lapse 5 years from now. Well, first of all, the idea is pretty cool, and we will absolutely try to do this, but we will use drones for this because satellite data in this area is not the best practice because there's lots of biomass. So if you plant something, it's very hard to keep track of this. So basically, you need to have people in the field. You need photographs. You need videos. And what we can do is create drone images. So William just announced our partner, and they will actually create these drone images for us.
Yep. And the next question is, what would happen in case of a forest fire? Well, actually, I don't think we've mentioned this that much in the general chat, but Using company profits, we are actually planting a large number of backup trees in other locations as a form of hedge. And the CO2 these trees generate are actually stored within our own vaults, if you like. First of all, to compensate for our own carbon footprint, of course, and second of all, to serve as a backup in case of emergencies, basically. So we can actually use those backup trees in case any trees are being burned down in the forest fire, but also use the CO2 if necessary to make some kind of backup.
Please elaborate on why other calculation models conclude that the tree annually absorbs around 40 kilos CO2 versus the 175 kilo mentioned in the white paper. Yeah, like I just said, that our methodology and standard is basically superior to the rest. It's not only the above ground biomass that our global carbon standard is using, it's also below ground and surrounding, so for the roots, but also the leaves. Everything will be calculated. So it's also taking into account the biodiversity around the trees. And I prepared my answer because it's very ecological. So sometimes you see crazy high numbers of CO2, so a few hundreds of kilos of CO2 being absorbed, but that's only if you use the SOC levels, soil organic carbon levels. And we don't use that because we don't think that you should take those into account. You should only do what the tree does, what the roots do, and the area surrounding it. Toby? Yeah,
Okay.
sorry.
How can we make sure we don't plant trees on a contracted farmer's plot while the same farmer is lumbering his old trees at the same time to make an extra profit? Well, basically, we have a few options here. So we have access to audit company databases. So similar companies like us with a carbon standard, basically, because we are obligated to use a database of companies you have onboarded. So we can check those databases to check if this particular farmer claimed CO2 tokens in the past, or if there's an active claim going on, or if he owns other plots with active claims. So that's the first thing we do. We can also check if if the actual plot they want to claim the CO2 tokens for, if they ever done this in the past already, because we want to avoid. It's actually a rule in the global carbon standard that we don't want to reforest plots where trees existed in the past 5 years. It's not allowed. Because otherwise you will just finance someone to cut down a tree and replant them, and it's an extra income for those people. So that's not allowed. The farmer needs to sign a contract. There is a fine in place, and the maintenance fee will not be paid out for the next 20 years anymore if there's a breach of contract. Also, if the farmer decides to sell his land with the trees on them, the contract is worded in such a way that the new owner is obligated to basically follow the terms and conditions of our contract. So the trees will still be there for at least 20 years, and we have our proof of life, obviously, to check if the trees are still there. And if a farmer decides to cut them down in, let's say, 5 or 10 years, well, that's our loss. That's Carbify's loss. It's not your loss because, like Toby just explained, we have backup trees, so we will just replace them. So that's how it works.
Yeah. The next question is, what do you think that the Western world is compensating for that pollution in the Amazon instead of their own environment? We've actually seen a lot of interest from European companies to support the rainforest, and I think it also relates to the answer Jaap gave earlier, as the Amazon being the lungs of the earth. So everyone knows there's a big urgency to basically save the rainforest because it's being chopped down in a rate you can't imagine for decades now. So that actually gives it marketing value for those companies investing in the Amazon as well, because everyone, even kids, basically know that there's a problem in the Amazon rainforest, and so it adds proper marketing value for the companies to invest in that area as opposed to areas in their own environment.
So there are no details available today about the source of the saplings or the GPS locations of the plots of land you intend to plant on. Well, yes, there are details available, and they will be in Carbidash because our on-site tree planting partner have also their own dashboard where they have the GPS location of all the trees, the species, the age, and everything will be in Carbidash. And we will also make it public in the Global Carbon Standard Registry. So we have to wait for Carbidash to see all the data.
Yeah, that's also the answer for the next question, actually. When can we stake trees? Well, you've seen the first footage of Carbidash 40 minutes ago. It's near completion, actually, for the first phase. We have several phases with lots of stuff coming. And in the first phase, it will be released in a few weeks because we need to test it, obviously. You can immediately stake your trees on your plots and, basically double your passive income.
Yeah, the next question is, who in the team is going to wear the Carbon mascot suits at events? Or are you going to take turns? Well, I'm not sure who put it right here, but the answer is Remus at all events. Of Remus, I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but I think it was a unanimous decision to push him forward to wear this awesome Carbon mascot suit, which we'll surely have at the first Carbify event.
Yeah, and Savoy, of course, because he is our chief happiness officer, right? So
yeah.
that kind of comes with the job, I believe.
Yeah.
Surely, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's silent now, so I guess he approves it. So yeah.
Yeah. Do you approve it, Savoy?
Yeah.
Yes. No. I don't hear any. No. Okay, it's decided.
Right.
Yeah.
Done. Done deal. Perfect. This was a question. We hustled the questions a bit, but it was about the global carbon standard, and if you are using other model, then what's your expectation that this will be approved or accepted by the authorities? Is this model particularly for specific Amazon environment, or should the model be used for all projects, which then could possibly drastically impact the total CO2 absorbed from other projects? Well, it's in the name. It's the global carbon standard. So we have developed a model that is suited for all areas in the world. It's the calculation that the ecologists do that decides on the output for the CO2. So it depends. It's a fact that a tree in Europe absorbs less CO2 than a tree in the Amazon, because that's the area where you plant, all the details that you put into it. And we are approved by Earthwood, and Earthwood is certified by United Nations. So we are at the same level as Verra or Gold Standard. It's the same. Basically, a company can use. It's the same for them if they use our CO2 tokens or the bad carbon credits.
Next one is Carbify as a project carbon neutral. Well, the answer is yes. We generate our own ACO2 and we will burn it. We want to be carbon neutral, obviously. And we have way more carbon debits than we need. So I think we will be, well, I don't know how you call it actually, not neutral, but negative. Carbon negative.
Carbon negative.
Yes, well, that's the answer.
Next question is there an end date for the sale of the Genesis plots? The answer is no. They will be online until the stock is fully sold, and I think we've mentioned it in the NFT description as well. There's 1,500 editions of this Genesis plot. We've put 1,250 for sale, and the other 250 is actually for giveaways or as a reward in whatever way we deem fit. And it's actually our chance for early adopters in here to grab this plot because, as Jaap mentioned a few questions before, the rewards of Genesis plots is a lot higher as opposed to premium and standard plots. So, but the answer is no. They will be online until they're fully sold.
Will there be a page on the website written by Tris Darret on the different type of trees and their purpose? A bit of education would be cool. I agree, that would be cool, but we have to ask Mike if he wants to do this. And I guess that if he wants to do it, it will be on the Global Carbon Standard website because that's more suited for these kinds of articles. But let's all put some pressure on him and ask if he wants to write these articles.
And how to prevent the double selling of actual trees? Well, we've seen this a lot, and this is actually a huge problem, and it's pretty much, well, annoying me. It makes me angry, to be honest, that these kind of cowboy behavior exists still. Even the largest auditor of the world is being caught while doing this. So what we do to avoid this is, like I said before, we have access to all the databases controlled by all the audit companies. So we will check if a tree has been rewarded already in the past or an active claim on it. We will do an audit before we sign a contract with a community or a tribe or a farmer. And we use blockchain technology, obviously. So what we will do is we use the metadata for the trees to note down the GPS location of the actual tree. It will be a little bit different for batch 1, but we will upgrade this system for batch 2. So everyone in the world will actually be able to see the GPS location of the tree, and it will also be in the database. And we will also share all the relevant data, including the tree species, how many trees are there on plots, etc., on our website, globalcarbonstandard.org. This will be the official website for our Global Carbon Standard. And well, I think that covers most of this question, but the blockchain part is a little bit more complicated. But let's just say we tackle both double selling and double counting.
Yeah. The next question is, if a Genesis plot is generating more CO2 due to tree staking, how does this work in real life? Does it mean there are more trees planted? Well, there's not more trees planted, but on Genesis plots you can actually place 50 NF trees as opposed to 15 for the standard plot and 30 for the premium plots. And as I mentioned before, we actually, for each NFT sold, we actually plant 3 trees. There's also a staking tree and a game rewards tree. And Genesis plots simply give higher percentage base rewards to the landowners, so they get a bigger share of the pool. That's where the difference is being made.
How is it possible to keep trees profitable for local communities over a time span of 20 years? Because we plant a mixture of different types of fruit and nut-bearing trees and regular trees. And nut and fruit-bearing trees benefit the communities and support them with food and income. And other than that, we pay the maintenance fee for the trees. So we give them an incentive to keep them alive for those 20 years. And all trees that we are planting will be long-living species. So that's guaranteed that they will live for at least 20 years.
So the next question was already being answered, but I will still cover this. Will it be the locals in the country that have actual ownership of the lands? If so, what is to stop them from selling the lands and repurposing the land once you have paid them? Well, the ownership is handled by our contracts between all parties. As soon as the community or farmer or tribe decides to sell this land, the new owner is forced to keep the rules and regulations intact. So he cannot cut down the trees. The new owner will also receive the maintenance fee. Um, so this will be enforced for at least 20 years. So repurposing, that means a breach of contract, that means a fine, and that means a maintenance fee will not be distributed anymore, and we will have to use the backup tree in order to back up the actual NFT owner.
The next question is it possible to be compensated in your own country in the future? This is a question we have spoken about a few questions before as well. But as you probably know, we created an ACO2 token, and this A in the ACO2 actually refers to the Amazon. So this basically means we will likely expand to other areas as well as the project evolves. And in fact, we even have certain plans in place already to do so. So yeah, it's very likely we'll be expanding to other areas as well.
How is biodiversity benefiting from Carbify? Carbify itself is not benefiting about biodiversity, but the rainforest is the biggest winner here because that's where we plant the trees. And due to an increase in biodiversity, also trees yield more fruits and nuts. So and the growth is stimulated. So it's a win-win for the rainforest, yeah, biodiversity is super important in the global carbon standard because it's like rocketing all the growth, all the yield for the trees.
NF3s generate ACO2 tokens. How much does one tree generate? Well, we are planting over 200 different species of trees. So you can imagine it is very hard to calculate the average ACO2, the CO2 absorbed by the trees. But we can already mention that it will be between 175 and 200 kilograms because the current data shows that we are going to make an amount like that. But this will be announced soon. We want to have lots of models fully ready in order to be very accurate on this number.
Yeah, the next question is, can you explain in detail why the Waterborne is the superior faction and specifically why the Stormbringers are the worst? I guess there's only one community member who can bring up questions like this, so thank you for that, Sersian. But I guess this is where the rivalry starts, right? So we'll have to see if what you are stating here is actually a fact, and I guess we'll battle it out soon enough.
All right, almost ready, guys. So we'll make it before 9. Question was, I think I understand that a carbon debit is better than a carbon credit. Yes, so that's good, and certainly better than a carbon tax. But is it going to cost less? How many carbon emissions will Carbify need to compensate for? How about the lithium? Is the lithium planting to use mostly node holders' eco donations to be carbon neutral? There's multiple questions in here, so let's break it up. First, we think that the carbon debit will be worth more than a carbon credit in the future because it's no promise to something that might or might not happen. It's actual absorbed CO2, the highest quality of CO2. It also means that it's more time consuming than carbon credits. Because a carbon credit, if I now plant my backyard full of trees, I can ask a carbon credit auditor, can you give me credits? And they do an audit and say, yes, here for 20 years you have your carbon credits. And our carbon debits are absorbed after the tree absorbs the CO2. So it's slowly released during the 20 years and not all at once. And that means that it will be worth more in the future than a carbon credit. I'm 100% certain about that. The emissions that Carbify need to compensate, yeah, we already explained. We will do that. And questions about the lithium, Jaap already explained. We are in talks with Jamie about that. So more news will follow soon.
Well, then there's one thing left to show, right? I will share my
Yes.
screen because that's some happy news. We already released the Carbify token some time ago, and we asked Hacken, a well-known audit company in the crypto business, to audit our token, and we actually scored a 10 out of 10 with 0 issues in all levels. So we are very happy that our token has been audited already. This will be pushed online in a registry of some sort. So we can use it on CoinGecko, we can use it on CoinMarketCap, and it will be shown on the Polygon scan. So we are very happy that we scored a 10. Well, I think that basically concludes our first EMA within 1 hour, actually. So we will post the videos and the stuff we sneak previewed for you guys in the next few hours. And well, many thanks for your attention, and see you next time.
Yeah,
Thanks.
and once again, sorry about the connection issues at the first part of the video. I'm not sure what happened, but anyway, I guess every good launch goes with certain issues. So I guess this was mine at least. But once again, sorry for that.
Thank you all. It was our pleasure, and see you all next time.
Yeah.
Ciao, ciao.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye.
Thank you.
Bye.